I'm Mike DeGagny. I'm the VP at Quantilope. I spent the last 15 or so years in data and research. I've worked at companies like Forrester Research, Experian. Most recently, I was at a startup that was acquired by Oracle Data Cloud. And Quantilope is my new passion project. But I did start my career out as a classically trained market researcher doing quant work for Microsoft, so like Van Westendorp pricing windows and things like that. And hilariously, I actually at 23 was moderating focus groups in Manhattan with IT decision makers at 1 billion plus companies. I had no idea what I was doing. But it made for a very fun qual experiment. And I'm joined by Jenny, my head of sales. Jenny, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Jenny Lewis. I am the head of enterprise sales for Quantilope, so also very young, dealing with billion-dollar companies, and I kind of know what I'm doing. No, just kidding, I know what I'm doing. But yeah, I started my career as an insurance wholesaler and then worked my way over into InsurTech and then MarTech, and now I'm here with You Find People. And feeling very tall. This is the tallest I've ever been. I could get used to this. All right, so with that, are you ready? All right, so like any good salesperson, I'm gonna start you off with a story. Came across this image a few months ago on LinkedIn. Have you guys seen this? No. So see this image and it reminds me of Christmas as a child, right? And I was obsessed with dollhouses, Legos, building things. I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And there's one specific Christmas morning that really stands out in my mind. I was about 8 years old, and I run down the stairs Christmas morning. My parents had been up all night putting presents together, or at least wrapping them. And there's this huge pink glittery box in the corner, right? I just like zeroed in on that sucker because I knew it was gonna be something fun to put together. So I run over there, wrap the paper off, and it is the Disney Barbie dream house. And I lost my freaking mind. I'm like running around the living room, can't wait to get this thing open. I'm like, Dad, let's get the box open, let's open it. So we open the box, and it's in pieces and parts and about 1,000 screws and plastic and directions, and I am relentless. I'm like, all right, what do you need? Like, let's go, let's get this thing together. And the guy's like, you know, he's Santa, so he's been up till 3 o'clock in the morning, he's exhausted, and he's like, yeah, oh, okay, like, let me start working on this. And we just go for hours, and he finally gets this thing together. Little class participation here. Why do you think as a child I am relentless to put this thing together? I won't leave him alone. Why do you think that is? It's simple, guys, so just whoever.
What is our plan?
Yeah, right? I want something actionable. I want what's on the box. I don't want the pieces and the parts. I want something that is human. I want something that's going to inspire my imagination, get me to a state of play where I can start kind of directing this story and having fun. And today, Mike and I are gonna show you all a framework that is the exact same thing with market research. We call it Humanizing Insights. So with that, let's jump in. But before we get into the total framework, we're going to talk a little bit about the market research reality. Our reality today in quant is that we have a dilemma of impact. Better stated, why nobody wants to play with us. On the quant side of the house, we collect tons and tons of data, probably more than we need. And it can be a little bit paralyzing. It provides us with knowledge and insight, but trying to condense that down into something that's going to drive action and drive impact in our organizations is really hard. It means difficult. And we spend so much time as researchers getting all that information together that actually being able to consult on what the data says, tell that story to our leadership teams and our marketing teams, it's just, there's not a lot of time for it, right? We're one project to the next. On the other side, we have qual. A little less data because we're listening to fewer voices, we're collecting less, but the knowledge and the insight is wonderful, right? We're seeing all that human emotion, all that depth. But just as hard is creating action and impact from what that data suggests. I don't know a single CEO that would make a multi-million-dollar investment decision based on qual alone, just hearing those few voices. So, what does that mean for our insights functions? If we don't find a way to tell those compelling stories, to grab all of that data and get that seat at the table, people stop listening to us. Our leadership teams get further and further away from our insights functions. Our marketing teams are not listening. Our budgets and our teams shrink. We have to do more with less. We get to hire less people. The money that we were able to put toward maybe technology that supported us or working with agencies, it just goes away. That money moves maybe to other data sources, but those data sources are not necessarily driving an impact in our organization either. So we have to think, in big bold letters, impact first and data second. Data is important, but the impact is what matters. We really have to flip the script. So how do we do that? Well, we have the impact first framework. We don't think that quant alone or qual alone is really going to drive what we are trying to do as researchers in our organizations. Rather, it's the marriage of quant and qual into what we call the humanizing insights framework. We have to think, as I've said 100 times, impact first. So what does that mean? Well, consumers are not just data points, right? We're people. We're people with emotions, aspirations, anxieties, and we as researchers need to capture both the hearts and minds to create a deeper, more holistic understanding of who those people are. Stan Nathan, a former executive at Unilever, and he's on our advisory board at Quantilope, says it best. He articulated it far better than I ever could. People are only consumers a few hours out of the day. And if we don't understand how to add a value to the hours of the day where they're not consumers, we run the risk of creating brands with no staying power, right? So now that we know that we have this dilemma, let's talk through our framework, the Humanizing Insights framework, and how to add it to our daily practice as researchers. Mike's going to do that.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jenny.
Mike.
And this is in line with our friend at Mondelez this morning. The ads that we saw that were so touching and heartfelt actually had nothing really to do with buying chocolate or selling chocolate or features or benefits or coupon codes. It had to do with the emotions that we have in our lives with the people that really matter, right? Focusing on those moments outside of just when they're in the store, looking at the different items. So let's focus on how we flip the script and we focus on impact and not a sea of data, right? Let's look first at creating empathy with our consumers and not sympathy. We need to immerse ourselves in our consumers. And we think we know what that means. And I'll dig into that in a second. The second thing, and I actually was just having a conversation outside with a few people from a media company, and we were talking about the dangers of bringing together multiple data sources. We need to bring together multiple data sources and then be comfortable combining the art and the science of triangulation in order to understand the deeper why. We spend so much time as researchers and insights professionals focusing on what and how. What did they buy? How much of it did they buy? How often did they buy? Let's do that again next week. No, we need to focus on the why and the motivators. This is going to be hard for a lot of you here. But we need to let technology do the things that we think actually make us special. And deep down inside, a lot of you say out loud, you say, oh, I know writing SPSS syntax or coding open ends or knowing this weird system we've been using for 25 years. That's like my superpower. For now it is. But technology is coming to automate those things, and we need to get serious about that. And if we've done all four of those things, as insights professionals, we can become influencers in our organization. I have been coming to these conferences for 15 plus years, and for the last 15 years it's been, we need to get researchers a seat at the table. Fuck that. We need to influence the table. The image for the last 15 years has been a little meek person elbowing their way at a table they're not supposed to be at, and they're next to the operations and the field marketing manager. No. We need to think, and we need to shoot for higher, and we need to influence the boardroom table. So let's jump in here. All right, so the first one is about empathy, right? And actually feeling and understanding how they feel. And the first step in this is understanding that a 120 slide PowerPoint deck is not doing it. Stop it. Don't send me more slides. Don't send me slides on a weekly basis. If you want to really understand what your consumer is all about, you need to listen, you need to feel. And being able to bring the consumer into the boardroom in a scalable way, that's the hard part, is actually what generates aha moments. It's actually what takes the perfect quant data points proving that Wendy should introduce a plant-based chicken nugget product, but it's hearing it from the consumer that actually makes the CMO stop focusing on the last donut and actually focus on the opportunity at hand. So this is Caitlin, and we asked Caitlin a simple question: would you buy Flaming Hot Cheetos mac and cheese? If we were doing this quant only, we would have a bunch of demographics. She's 18 to 34 years old, she's got red hair, she's a mom, and we would say no, she does not want to buy it, but we don't know why. But let's actually hear from her.
No, I do not see Flaming Hot Cheetos mac and cheese as something that I would buy for myself or for my family or be driven to consume or find appetizing off the shelf. I would say the first thing that comes to mind is college kids. It seems like something that, would maybe appeal to a much younger audience, which maybe is the point, kind of the middle ground between an adult mac and cheese and a kid's mac and cheese. But I would say college students, teenagers, bachelors, like those are the people that kind of come to mind when I think about who is probably readily going to grab Cheetos Flaming Hot mac and cheese off the shelf, if I would have to guess.
A lot of rich detail, a lot of why behind this behavior and this attitude. Obviously, we can't survey 300 Caitlins, right? We just can't get through the data. We can't make it scalable. But there's also other beautiful things you can glean from this video. In the back right-hand corner, I actually know Caitlin. We did this as a syndicated study. She didn't tell anybody she was expecting her second kid. And I saw the mammograms, the sonograms in the background. And she outed herself. The baby's fine. The baby's great. It's already been born. But there's so much more you can glean. And these moments is taking a two-dimensional segment, two-dimensional bar charts, and making them three-dimensional people with vibrant colors of humanity. So now we're really creating channels and avenues to create empathy for our consumers. The next is, okay, what do we do with that? Qual alone, quant alone, transactional data alone, social data alone. We need to create a way to triangulate the different data sources. On the bottom side, right, what we have typically is a research agenda with ad hoc research, with our annual pricing study, and all the things that we use a bunch of different platforms for. That's there. That's not going anywhere. Then we have our brand tracking. Just spoke to somebody about setting up brand tracking. This is evergreen. If you set this up incorrectly, every time you update your wave, you're going to hate something about it. So it's really important to get it right and keep it going. Those are two quant areas, and now it's time to use qual as a speedboat, either to come up with new hypotheses, derive them, or test them in a lot more affordable way versus going through a stage-gated traditional CPG approach to deciding to introduce a product. That's months and years. This is days and weeks. And why we're using this triangulation, and actually the guy from Mondelez said it as well, is consumers, they can't actually tell you why they're doing what they're doing. They think they know, but deep down inside, are you buying that truck that's lifted because you're trying to make up for something else? I don't know. But you really want to be able to use these different data sources to put the consumer in the middle and triangulate. And then from there, you're actually, there we go. You're actually able to then uncover the deeper why. You've combined these different data sources together, and then you're able to then really dig in and leverage the right type of question, right? And if we take the example of Caitlin shopping for macaroni and cheese, historically, quant and qual has been completely siloed, right? We have quant vendors, qual vendors, and we talk once a quarter or once a month on what we're trying to do when we present. Forget about that. We need to remove that partition. So when answering this question, some of you qual people might not know System 1, but it's subconscious drivers, and it looks at how fast somebody reacts to different ideas. Which brand owns the idea of this of quality or freshness or organic in a brand halo? What about a product category? So as the company is trying to figure out who owns hot mac and cheese, they can decide which brand to focus. Key driver is going to let you know product preference and purchase preference behaviors. And this thing called conjoint creates experiments where you put Caitlin in different environments where there are choice trade-offs. So really powerful data that can be sliced and diced, but that why cannot be gleaned that way. So then we can then go in and overlay that qual data. We can see how she unboxes it, see how she cooks it, see how she shares it with her family, see how she even shops and finds it in the store. Combining these two data sources can be a way for us to get to the why behind that consumer behavior. All right, guys, this is the big one. We need to get serious about automation and AI because the world that we're living in as insights professionals is changing, and it has changed. Historically, what we've been, like 20, 30 years ago, our job wasn't to create insights or make recommendation. Our only job was actually to make sure the data from the marketplace was collected in the right process and it was clean so someone else could make a decision. And then slowly over time, our jobs have gotten much more complex. We still have to do all that, but now we need to come up with insights. We need to prove the value of our organization. The ad sales team or the product team is getting sick of waiting 2 weeks every time they have a question. And so we need to lean in or work weekends and nights. Some of you guys got kids out there. I don't want to work nights. I don't want to work weekends. So we need to think about how we can pull together technology. With Quantilope, we actually started on the quant side. We realized to do research, you guys are using a survey platform like Qualtrics, data cleaning like SPSS, stats package like Sawtooth, visualization like PowerPoint or Domo. We're talking months. One platform, hours or days, right? And then we realized that actually Qual has been forced into its own category just because no one has built it on one platform. For some people, Qual can be an individual type of study, but it can also be a question type. So imagine all of that rich and beautifully big quant research budget if you could just add Qual into that seamlessly. Obviously, you don't want 300 responses, but what about 30? What if the answers in the survey actually could lead to asynchronous video collection? Oh, so you said that you went to Kohl's recently. What was it like when you walked in? What was it like trying it off at home? Can you take us back to return that item? That's all now able to be collected. For the Qual folks, we focused on technology first. The second the video is uploaded, transcriptions in dozens and dozens of languages. We built it on Amazon Web Services and Watson, so you know it's good. We're doing instantaneous sentiment analysis and emotion facial recognition, so you can also see if someone is sarcastically responding, oh yeah, I love that, versus saying they actually love that. And then in seconds be able to share those videos out. So the drag of, it takes a lot of time to get the data, to make it searchable too, keyword searching. You can lump those words together. We're really trying to remove the barriers between Qual and Quant. So if we've done everything we're supposed to do up to this point, and we've automated the process, so now we're focusing on the valuable activities, ideating if the question, the initial question we're asking is the right question for the business imperative, and then letting the machinery do all the work, and then looking through the endless amount of data to find insights that lead to impact. That is what we should be spending our time on. If we're able to do that, then we can become an influencer in the organization. And what we want you to be thinking about is how do you, with technology, create augmented intelligence with data, with the tech stack, and with your team. Augmented intelligence means that you're not spending time doing significance testing or open-end logging. You're actually looking at the data, thinking about the business problems, and then using them to tell stories. Today, computers have not beat us on storytelling, and at the end of the day, stories is what makes us human. So the ability for us to tell better stories is also going to be a way for us to bring insights to the table and influence the table. Finally, people say, oh, measure aha moments. Again, fuck that. Let's go and measure oh shit moments. The moments that you're in a meeting where somebody looks at the data that you prepared and actually says, oh shit, we are thinking about this all wrong, or oh shit, there's a massive opportunity here. These moments are happening more and more with supply chain, with a lot of the issues that are going on in the world geopolitically. There is opportunities for oh shit moments for you, your brand, and your clients. For the people who have been around for a while, think about when is the last time you actually had that moment? For the new people, think about the next time it actually happens. And if you're not driving that, you are actually relegating yourself back to a resource and not a competitive advantage. So what does the outcome look like if we're able to do this? It's wins. So researchers win because they become indispensable. And they're actually not viewed as a speed bump in the process. Oh, I got to go to the researchers. They're going to tell me 2 weeks. We're going to try to go around them anyways, blah, blah, blah. No, you're actually somebody they seek out. And consumers, we get better products, flat out. There's nothing better than when someone comes out with a product that you didn't even think you knew you needed, and now you have to have, right? And then ultimately, it drives more business. There are endless quotes about the closer that a CEO gets to an insights department, the better the company does, and the more client-centric that a company is, the better it performs. But the challenge here, and I think the reason why technology has not been adopted at scale by all of you already, is that every technology company offers a one-size-fits-all approach to your problems. And that actually means it's one-size-fits-none. It doesn't scale. You're on your own. It's Sunday. The thing's not working. We've overcome that by offering something called Success Labs, where classically trained researchers with PhDs in neuroscience will actually work with you to make sure that you're connecting the dots between the CEO, the insights department, and it is one-size-fits-you. And so we actually have a few members of Success Labs here along with my organization, but B is that person. She works with our biggest clients, and she really helps them take their problems, up-level them, and use the right use case. And we'd love for you to stop by our booth outside and talk to us about the humanizing insights journey you're currently on. And selfishly, if you're getting a little sick of your job, boy, oh boy, would I like to talk to you. So we are literally doubling the company this year. We've had tremendous success, and we'd love to talk to you. If you've never worked at a startup before, you get to swear on stage. So that's pretty cool. So guys, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Jenny and Mike. We have questions. Got a couple.
Hello.
Thank you. So, thinking about the content that you get out of the videos, and as a professional moderator, our role when we get an RFP and we design the discussion guide is to lead the conversation to answer all those objectives and questions. When you don't have a moderator and you have the video and the respondents, I love those videos. My concern sometimes is how do you ensure that they are going to answer all the questions that the client has and that need to be answered?
Yeah, so the Success Lab team, also talking about one size fits you, is we will make recommendations. We're not trying to sell people anything. And so if you're looking for a world where you're actually talking to somebody, but you're vibing and you're digging deeper and you're like, oh, you want them to say, oh, that's interesting. You mentioned that you share that chocolate with your mom when she's feeling sad. Tell me more about that. That's not this. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, there's some really great people over at Remesh that we know that they don't pay me anything for saying that, but they do a great job. So maybe go talk to Remesh. You're looking for something a little bit bigger that has some quant C-Space, those guys in Boston, they're great. So we will make recommendations, but this is the idea of asynchronous qual where you send out a very specific series of questions and they can answer, but also do things. Hey, you make hot dog buns, go show me how you prepare them on the grill. Show me how you shop for them, things like that. But we're not going to be replacing IDIs. We're not going to be replacing in-person or even virtual focus groups.
Yeah, excellent. So it's more for a specific question. Because sometimes we hear that this replaces focus groups and I'm like, it all depends.
It also depends on timing and scalability, right? Because we all know we've done one of these virtual focus groups and nobody shows up and your business stakeholder is on the line and you just want to die. So you have to also think about, you know, the timing, the resource, and how important this is in feeding into learning loops. We didn't talk about this today, but an agile approach to research is learning loops, actually learning quickly on a daily basis to inform future research. And QUAL is actually the most powerful and least used learning loop driver. Thanks.
I keep asking a lot of questions.
We love it.
You mentioned a couple of times, can't do this for 300 people. So I'm curious, what are the barriers to scaling it, and why wouldn't I want to do that? I can see a lot of advantages and ability to gain advocacy from, right, I work with a ton of analytics people, and they have millions of data points. So sometimes my small samples, it's challenging to get that kind of support for the insights. So why wouldn't I take advantage of the ability to scale with the AI?
So there's a couple things, right? The first thing is that Success Lab team will also talk to you about what you're trying to accomplish. And a key mistake when combining qual and quant or quali-quant is like, let's offer this person 10 airline miles, and then let's see if he turns on the camera or she turns on the camera at the end. And the data quality on the actual qual stuff is really bad, right? It's just, you have to treat people who are going to turn on the camera differently. And that could be by looking at a series of answers and offering an additional incentive to make sure it's high quality or high value. So we do warn people away from just throwing it in as like oh, let's see what we get. The second thing is, do you think that you're going to have the ability to go through 300 individual videos, even if they're transcribed perfectly and you're able to search it? Maybe not. But if we're making a recommendation that you should treat these people differently, pay them a little bit differently so they engage in different ways, then we would say maybe less. But if you do want to collect all that information, you're able to. There's no limitations on the platform.
I thought that the platform did that analysis, right? Was doing the analysis on the transcriptions so that I don't have to do that.
Exactly, but a human being still needs to read if Caitlin thinks that to add context, that Caitlin thinks that this product is for college kids and not for mothers. You can search that, but to know that that's not probably the identity that Kraft Macaroni and Cheese brand macaroni and cheese, that's where you come in. That's that extra level of you providing impact based on data. The point is, if you have 300 individual transcribed interviews, can you get through it? If you have a team that supports it, then do it. There's no additional cost.
So there's no theming or consolidation of the data to direct me?
There is. So we can show you outside, and maybe it would be better for that.
We were just starting to, and then we came.
Yeah, so you can create keyword mapping, and so you can put people who says delicious or smelly or stinky or whatever, and you can put them into groups, and then the system actually through AI actually already cuts the videos, judging by the speech patterns around different things. So if you want somebody who thinks that this product's for college kids, it will bring all those people together and you can watch the snippets. But yeah, it will do it automatically.
Thanks. Just a quick question, thank you. What projects or products or industries do you think this methodology works best in? Can you give us some examples?
After this question, it looks like I'm getting kicked off. Is that true? Okay. Thank you. So in general, on the quantitative side, there's a million nearly free survey tools if you want to just ask like how you feeling today, whatever. For the advanced research, like doing advanced product testing, we see a lot of consumer goods companies, retail brands, or anyone who has a consumer that is high value. So we have a lot of people actually interested in like operations managers at big buildings that are buying HVAC systems. A big driver in understanding a complex consumer that may make either a high consideration purchase or a purchase that happens a lot of times. So that's why consumer packaged goods, retail brands, but you actually have to have people who want to do research and see the value of it. I know that didn't answer your question perfectly, but if you tell me what you do outside, then I'll explain it to you a little more. All right, guys, well, I really appreciate the time. Jenny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.